Malcolm McNeil, international lawyer of intrigue. This is a great opportunity for you and I to talk a little bit. I am fascinated by the breadth of your practice and your personal life. But one of the questions I have for you is, what's the best advice anybody's ever given you?
The best advice, gosh, I've been fortunate to have a lot of what I'll call mini mentors through the years because I started my own office a year out of law school, so I was strong.
Great.
Yeah, and so I joined an executive law suite, which was formerly a Fijian type suite, but I would always go to different lawyers for advice and say, I have this, I have this, I have this. Well, how much do I charge? What do I do? Where do I go? What do I file? So I was always being given a lot of advice, but I think the most sage advice was to not be distracted by the practice of law. Meaning that we're all being tugged in different directions, but keep an eye on your goals and keep an eye on what your goal is on a given case. And if you keep your eye on that, you won't let the client's emotions get in the way or opposing counsel being a jerk get in the way. What you do is if you focus on that, the other things don't seem as important.
Who was the first person that you met at the BHBA?
Our present president, Mark Steinberg.
CEO.
Okay. CEO, excuse me. I know. I actually referred to him once as our executive director and was berated for that.
Yeah, I got to be very careful.
But that's only because of my lengthy experience in bar associations. I've been part of international bar associations like the UIA and of course the ABA, SIL, and the LACBA. So I've had a lot of bar experience. So we have to make sure we learn that. But let me do it this way: titular head, Mark Steinberg. And Mark was very inviting. He was introduced to me by a dearly departed friend, Carl Terzian, who knew that I was involved in the LACBA and said, you have to check out the BHBA. Oh. And I did.
Wow.
And here I am.
Thank you,
today.
Carl. In memoriam. Thank you, Carl. We're so happy that you did. What are the words that people would describe you as?
I think probably diligent, diversified. You brought that up in the beginning. I like the diversification of the practice. Diligent, because people are always asking me, including my own secretary, do I ever sleep?
That's what other people describe you as. What would you like people to describe you as? If you had your druthers, what words would you like them to use?
Well, you did it right at the outset. International lawyer of mystery.
Ah.
Okay. I'd like them to say that I am the most relatable lawyer that they could talk to.
Wow.
You know, it's funny, when you represent international clients and personal clients, let's go to just those two levels, both of them are anxious when they hire counsel. You can have a conglomerate overseas that hires a lawyer in the United States and they're fearful of the legal system. They've heard horror stories about the costs and discovery and the invasiveness and all of that. And my experience was mostly litigation. But the point was setting that client at ease, making them feel comfortable about this. Say, no, we can control this. We can be efficient. We can do this. We can do this. I will report to you. So one of the words that what is most gratifying to me is when clients would come to me at the conclusion of a matter, you know, that, oh, Mr. McNeil, thank you. You helped me so much. Or I hear your voice and I'm calm.
Oh, wow.
Okay, I've heard that on
That's a
many
nice
occasions.
thing to hear from a client.
Yeah, and that's very gratifying. The BHBA is a place where you don't just network and say, here's a card and let's exchange cases. But it's a place where you learn. It's a place where we develop personal relationships. I've met with many of my governors on the Board of Governors where we've had lunch, we've met, we've socialized, we've had members to our house. In other words, it is, without it sounding too trite, it's a family. It is a family because everybody is there because they want to be there, not because they're feeling urged to do so because they have to network or whatever. So it's a great professional opportunity.
Agreed. And you are not the first person, nor will you be the last, to call it a family. We all call it a family. And we all feel very much at home and very close to our colleagues. I'm sure you have a lot of people in the BHBA you would admire, but who in the world at large do you most admire? Most admire?
Well, it's wow. You know, it's a long list, but you know who I recently was in contact with this last year, who I had met previously, was Condoleezza Rice. And I am amazed because I've met her at different social events. I met her when she made a presentation or was interviewed like this with the ACC, the Association of Corporate Counsel. And I met her recently because I'm on the board of regents at Cal Lutheran, and she was there for a dedication of a building. And so I've had the opportunity not just to meet her and have a photo op, but to actually talk with her. And she's genuine. She's engaging. She listens, and she really epitomizes whenever anybody wants to ask issues like you know, what was going on in the Bush administration, or what was happening after 9/11, or what about racism, or those kinds of questions. She goes into a very interesting personal story, saying, you know what, your personal, basically, that I don't want to paraphrase her in any way, but the message is, you carry yourself as you carry yourself. And my father, the preacher, basically told me that when you carry yourself as you carry yourself and plod forward, you will be successful in whatever you achieve.
There you go. What's your idea of success?
My idea of success is the really blending of your business career with your personal career, meaning your career of life. Have your spouse, your significant other, your family, your kids, and friends. I mean, that whole personal aspect, that what Carl Terzian used to say was the other side of the card, the reverse side of the card. What's over there? We know what it says on the front. Yeah. And the challenge is that we've all heard the sort of hackneyed phrase of work-life balance, but the reality is, it's, even though it's hackneyed, it's still relevant. It's the kind of thing that we spend so much time reacting in our practices that it's easier to put the personal things that are more gratifying and more interesting and more long-lasting on the back burner. So we have to sometimes be prepared to say no.
You have a lot of empathy for your clients, and you clearly want them to know that they are being heard. Where did you develop those talents and those skills?
I was on the Superior Court mediation panel, but what really, let's say, honed those skills is that I was on the, and still am on the Central District, United States District Court Attorney Settlement Panel. So I'm an attorney settlement officer. So I've gotten to know our the young lady who assigns out the cases, and she always gives me a case with a foreign name, because she said, I know you're an international lawyer, so I'll get a name, I'll get a Chinese, Korean, French, German, somebody, if the title of the case indicates that, they'll send them to me. And so through, and I've learned through that process, you have to listen. I've watched lawyers talking to their clients, and the clients are not getting it. And they're not getting it because the lawyer is not explaining it. And then as a mediator, I had to listen in order to bridge that gap. So being a mediator taught me to be a very effective listener, to get to the core of it and find out and respond to what they're concerned about in order to settle a case.
Right, essential for dealing with clients or mediate. It doesn't matter where it is. It's active listening and making sure people know they've been heard is just so fundamental. If I were to give you some categories, I want you to think of ways you've benefited. Socially, have you any social benefits from your membership?
I hit on it a little bit earlier. I think that the membership has led to attending events, and the group events are of the size where you actually can get to, Linda, how are you? Okay, and to meet people and actually develop a relationship. So the social benefits, I've actually been invited to colleagues' homes. I've invited colleagues to my home. We've had lunch. I've developed let's say, a network of potential referrals. That's been very helpful to me, because not every case that crosses my desk is something that I can handle myself, because it's not appropriate for its size or whatever for the firm. So on a social level, it's been I value the relationships I've developed.
Movies. What movie could you watch over and over again?
my #1 movie, I think, is West Side Story.
Okay, you get my
Okay.
vote. You get my vote.
Okay, good.
Best musical ever.
Everything, and when you listen very carefully to the lyrics are nuanced, and they very very easily, let's say, walk a line between different social concerns and
Right.
social elements,
Yes.
and nobody is quite right and nobody is quite wrong, and it ends showing that what really is the results of misunderstanding and hate.
Yes.
And so I think I don't care where you are in the political spectrum, I don't care where you are in life.
Or history.
I think it's a fantastic movie to watch,
Yes.
and there's lessons to be learned.
Absolutely, agreed. Being the Bond aficionado that you are, which Bond movie would be your favorite?
It's easy for me to choose, but I have to preface it with, when I saw the movie when I was a kid, everybody thought I was nuts when I said that it was the best one. Today, it is considered in the top 3, and that is On Her Majesty's Secret Service. And the reason why people thought that I was nuts is because the actor George Lazenby had taken over for Sean Connery, and Sean Connery became so iconic in the role that for those that saw George Lazenby, they sort of let out a very loud "huh." And but my first Bond movie was On Her Majesty's Secret Service. So when I saw
You didn't know Sean Connery.
I went out and bought Arthur Frommer's Europe on $5 a day because I was about to take off and go to the Swiss Alps. I mean, I went home and I told my parents, I said, I'm going to leave. I'm going to save up for 2 weeks. I mean, it had such an impact on me from that standpoint. And that was when I bought my first James Bond collectible, which is a poster of On Her Majesty's Secret Service, which I still have to this day, which I bought at Larry Edmunds bookstore in Hollywood. What I did is I would give my parents my salary, but when I'd earn tips on delivering groceries, those I squirreled away for myself. But don't tell anybody.
No, it's my lips are sealed. Your secret is safe with me.
Super. I started to sweat a bit on that one. For that, you're dragging these revelations out of me. But what happened is that poster now is worth $2,500. And I bought it for $10 in Hollywood.
Wow.
So whenever anybody asks me about the James Bond collectibles, I say, there's nothing trivial about it. Okay, it's
very
good.
true, very true. So that was the poster that started it all.
Yep, it did. And today I have a museum in the home, and you're invited. I've already told the leadership. I've told everybody at the Beverly Hills Bar, come on over and see the museum.
Okay, now we have it on tape, and we will take you up on that.
Okay, good. I'll reluctantly be dragged to that event. No problem.
Yeah, okay. And I understand that your museum pieces are actually loaned all over the world?
Yes, I've had I have one of the largest print collections in the world of posters in international languages, obviously, from stylized Hebrew to Finnish to Japanese, Sanskrit. You name it. I have posters in I think 29 languages now. So when the International Lawyers Association had an event in 2007, we had our annual Congress, and the organizers weren't sure every Congress has a theme. They didn't know what theme to do, and at that time, Casino Royale was released with Daniel Craig taking over the role.
Yeah.
And that was that was announced sort of in 2005, and I said it's 2007. It's 2007. Let's do a 007 theme.
Brilliant.
So sure enough, they agreed, and they had gotten the Royal Ontario Museum to host the event, to open for an evening for this gala event. And I shipped 21 of my posters to the Royal Ontario Museum, and they had ROM, as they call it. And so they had their professional framer take them and frame them and put them in a gallery, and it became and there's other things going on like gambling tables and girls dressed in gold leotards and
cool.
all kinds of Bond things going on. But it was the photo op for everybody.
That is amazing.
And I'll never forget when I saw them. I walked in and I looked at them. I sort of backed up and I went to look at the frame like this, and the guard comes over and says, "Sir, please don't touch." Please.
You had to tell him, but I own that one.
I said, "You are doing your job, sir. You are doing a fine job."
Right, yes, protecting my property. Yes, exactly.
Exactly.
All right, so very exciting event. That's on a personal side. What excites you about being a lawyer?
I have to say problem solving. I think, because it is really, isn't it really the culmination of the attorney-client relationship and what you're doing? Problem solving helps you lead to resolution. Resolution for the case, resolution for the matter you're on, and more importantly, resolution for the client who's suffering through the issues. I mean, when I say suffering through, it can be litigation on the one side, it can be a business transaction on the other, buying or selling a business, but they want it to be finished too.
Yes.
So when you sort of create what I just said a minute ago, that when you create the environment for a resolution by having a goal and then you get to it and you have a plan and then you solve the problem, I think you've done a really good job. And that's what's gratifying for me.
Yeah.
When it's satisfying for me when a case closes.
Yes. And your client is happy with the outcome.
Exactly.
Or at least accepts the outcome. Can't always be happy, but at least they feel like mission accomplished. It's over and behind them.
Yeah, I mean, using the all-encompassing phrase that justice was done.
Yeah.
Not justice was done in the criminal justice concept or whatever, but that they had their day, they were able to do their thing. The result was there's nothing worse than a client feeling that in a business transaction they got screwed somehow in the transaction, that they're worried that the other side took advantage of them, or we forgot an issue or something like that. Clients hang on to that. But if they feel that all of those things have been dealt with and you've had a trade-off, et cetera, they'll be satisfied with it.
What's the most valuable characteristic of a friend that you look for or you hope to have?
Trust. And friends have to be, and I think it also has to be something that is without strings. In other words, I can call you up, have a drink, talk about something, but there's no strings attached. I'm not telling you because I need to persuade you about something. And in our business, we're usually talking to people and need something.
Them,
Yeah, we're persuading, whether it's, and we even do that with our families. So a friend is the only enclave where you can really just talk to somebody and have an open discussion and have a drink, have a lunch, do whatever, and you should be able to trust them with what you want to share and be open.
I agree. I'm with you all the way. So, passion projects, do you have any?
Yeah, I guess, I would not guess, I would tell you that at the top of the list is education. Education and education.
Okay.
Okay, that's sort of been something that I thought was critical for our profession. I think it's critical for society at large. The more, I think the more people know and the more people learn, and I think when we look around the world, I think education is a cornerstone to a better understanding for everybody.
Agreed. So specifically, what, how do you participate in and make that passion project a reality?
In my earliest days of my practice, I joined the International Young Lawyers Association. So I started, and that was something that was more of that was like a hobby because I was not sure to what extent I would be involved, and I eventually went into leadership. But I started reading and understanding and getting a sense of international issues. I joined the ABA Young Lawyers Division. I moved forward, and when I was in Asia, I started getting actively involved in our program. Our programs are called the Law Course Committee, but that was programming basically. And that's why I've taken a keen interest in the Beverly Hills Bar Association programming, and that's why I've been so gratified by the hands-on nature of our programs. And then from there, I went to Antioch University as an undergrad and graduated from there. And then I was asked to found the West Coast Board of Directors, which I did. And then I went from there to Woodbury University, and I was on the Academic and Student Affairs Committee, the Marketing Committee, and I was able to learn not just within the profession, but more globally how important education was and how it works. Because it's easier said than done. Okay, and presently I'm on the Cal Lutheran Board of Trustees, and I'm on the Audit Committee, and so those activities have given me a broad understanding of the, let's say, the interaction among administration, board, faculty, students, You know, we had students who were present at the recent shooting that took place, and one of our graduates was one of those who was shot and killed.
Oh, I'm so
it was an important thing for us to meet as a board of regents to talk about how do you handle this issue, how do you handle it from a family standpoint, how do you handle it from a student community standpoint, and so it was enriching to go through that process despite the tragedy, because you were able to sort of understand from each aspect what the faculty was concerned about, and what the student body was interested in, and what the families were concerned about. It didn't happen on campus, thankfully. It was an event off campus, but still it impacts the campus.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. Wow, fascinating. All right, last question. If you were the interviewer, what question would you ask? Not of me,
Oh, okay.
but just in general. If you were in my seat, what would you like to know about a member of the Beverly Hills Bar Association?
I think in order to make it broad and because it shows the diversity of our membership, I would ask a question like, what is your favorite aspect of the association? Because I don't think you have to have a single favorite. I mean, I'll be the first one to say that, is it the social events? Is it rounding out your professional practice? Is it networking? Is it wanting to be involved? Is it wanting to have a voice in the current legal issues that are facing our profession? Is it maybe looking forward and asking the question, where are we 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now in our profession? We don't think about that now. We have significant changes. And the way that you make those or participate in those significant changes is through bar membership and eventual bar leadership, not just sitting there and being a bump on the log.
Right.
So I'd say, what is your favorite part of it, and do you want to be involved to the betterment of your profession?
Very good question. So thank you for sitting down with me. It was
Thank you,
illuminating, fascinating, awe-inspiring. I really
Wow,
appreciated
okay.
speaking to you.
Likewise.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. A pleasure.